live on your DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. Thanks for choosing us. This is Joy News Prime. Our headlines this hour: a split labor front as the demand for cost of living allowance divides teacher unions and the mother of all unions, TUC.
Situation presently demands a more radical approach.
The TUC and its unions, our approach has always been dialogue.
Looking at the dire economic situation that confronts us now, government can come out with some cost of living allowance.
Discussions have been had on this, but I can tell you there hasn't been consensus.
The joy of the roads minister when contractors failed to bring up the thorny issue of indebtedness in the sector.
I was even expecting that they would hammer on outstanding payments and all that. I'm surprised that, Mr. President, they did not talk about that.
And as the cost of roads construction become a challenge for development, the government says it has done more than any regime since independence.
From independence, there is no government that has so boldly and robustly changed the face of road construction in our country as is being done and being witnessed under His Excellency President Akufo-Addo's government.
Polling station elections of the New Patriotic Party fraught with misunderstanding and disturbances in some constituencies in the Ashanti region. We'll hear from some of the aggrieved members.
If K is not taken, Bantima will be a Bantam area. So we are drawing the attention of our leaders that they should come to the aid of Bantima because they want to cheat Bantima. And if Bantima falls, then people will fall.
At 8 p.m, I will hand you over to Charles and Gary for Prime Business and Prime Sports. Charles, what should people look forward to?
All right, so in Business Prime, we shall be exploring the pressure mounting on the Tema oil refinery, especially when crude oil prices are escalating on the world market.
The way the gas prices are increased, we are too scarce. Like me, I do delivery. You see the cylinders, I do delivering service. First, the 14.5 was 100, like 85 CD previous. Like right now, the 14.5 is 141 CD.
In Showbiz, we'll take you to London, where musicians Kiddy and Kwame Eugene are preparing for one of their biggest shows yet.
We just wanted to leave the show on Sunday, go back home and make anybody who didn't make it jealous, because the experience you are going to, the experience you are going to be having, like Kwame said, everything is planned from the moment we step on the stage, from the moment we leave the stage.
And Gary will be here for sports as well. Gary?
I will indeed, because the chairman of Galka, Kujofiano, is not sure that the sports ministry's no vaccination, no entry directive will be enforced in tomorrow's President's Cup between Asante Kotoko and Heart of Oak here in Accra. We'll be doing that.
I've seen the release. As to whether it is going to be practicable, that will only show on the ground. But that notwithstanding, I want to say that you and I, we don't want any Ghanaian to lose his or her life. If that directive will ensure the safety of Ghanaians, why not?
My name is Blessed Sugan. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay for details. You will imagine that indebtedness in the road sector running into billions of cedis will be on top of the agenda when the Ghana Chamber of Construction met President Akufo-Addo to discuss challenges in the sector. But surprisingly, that was missing on the list of the demands. And this was a big surprise even to the Roads and Highways Minister, Kwesi Amoako-Attah. The chamber, in a courtesy call on the president and the Jubilee House, urged the president to, as a matter of urgency, establish the Construction Development Authority law to sanitize the system. Here's consultant to the chamber, Kojo Osei Asante.
This third law that will make the ERB and the PPP law more effective will be promoted and then pass through the various stages for us to have the CEDA law in place. By that, if we are able to get this Construction Industry Development Authority law in place, we will be able to promote modern methods of construction, whereby we will be able to sanitize, grow, develop, and regulate the construction industry in Ghana. Whereby we will be able to look at technology development in the construction industry, treat construction as a business, and then finally develop our manpower resources, and it will all be coordinated by Construction Industry Development Authority.
Well, and obvious, the Surprise Roads and Highways Minister Kwesi Amankwata said the contractors' understanding of the prevailing economic conditions may have influenced the decision not to belabor the debt issue.
I was even expecting that they would hammer on outstanding payments and all that. I'm surprised that Mr. President, they did not talk about that because we have had series of meetings and interactions, and the position of government and what government has been doing has been explained to them from time to time. And anytime some few contractors got up and were trying to create the impression that contractors are not being paid, because, Mr. President, they are privy to the facts and they are seized before the developments in the construction industry and all the payments that have been going on, and with their understanding of the country, the economy, and not only in Ghana, but even from the world perspective. And Mr. President, as they were introduced, this is a group of very learned people who have good understanding.
The minister is, however, convinced that the passage of the e-levy will make funds available to pay off the debt in the build industry, but insists no government since independence has constructed more roads than the NPP.
That particularly the road sector and generally all the construction sector, right from independence, there is no government that has so boldly and robustly changed the face of road construction in our country as is being done and being witnessed under His Excellency President Akufo-Addo's government. Despite all the difficulties, even in 2020, in the very peak of the very dreadful experience that the whole world witnessed, construction did not stop. It continued. And government had also continued to effect payment to contractors. We still have outstanding indebtedness to settle.
Many traffic lights in Accra are not functioning. That's a danger to road users. Persons who work or live close to the traffic lights say they witnessed many accidents due to this. In the following report, if you are Prekwa Boafo looks at the situation at Nima Junction, where the police manually controls traffic and are frustrated as a result. A recent survey by the National Road Safety Authority reveals nearly half of the traffic lights in the Greater Accra region are not functioning. Nima Junction, one of the busiest intersections located near President Akufo-Addo's residence, has had its traffic lights malfunctioning since the last 4 months.
Just a few days ago, a motorcyclist nearly collided with a passenger vehicle at this intersection. Lydia Toby, a food vendor here, explains how her business has been impacted by the accidents there.
From 6 p.m., all traffic lights turn red, making it difficult for us to cross. It's the responsibility of the police to direct vehicles whenever the traffic stops functioning, but it's not so. They only show up when there's an accident which affects my business, because no one prefers crossing over to make purchase.
Affecting me, Papa, because I'm no obi ntimi ntwa mu mase oba beta aduane ozo obi ote osrete sika o ko twakwan no makwaje aduane wanana police for soldiers for no omoto omoma na aduane o pan wawu yakosie no.
Lydia is not the only one affected. Motorists and pedestrians are equally worried about the situation.
This traffic light there, it has caused many accidents here. Many, not one, not too many accidents. People are dying here. It affects me more because which I'm a rider. It can happen to my friends, can happen to me.
Authorities should fix these traffic lights because it is closer to the president's house. Vehicles can collide at any time.
Authorities are not willing to fix it. What else can we do? But we are hoping it gets fixed.
You just need to be careful when using the intersection. There's no need to rush.
Frankly speaking, the traffic light is not working, and I don't know what the government is doing about it. It affects my movement because actually I don't know if I should cross or not.
Every evening, anytime we come around, the light has been always off, and there are so many casualties that happen on this road.
I don't think we have a traffic light in Ghana because all the traffics are not working. Akufado's Junction, the Nima Junction, the traffic light is not working.
A senior MTTD official at the Nima police station, Inspector Zakaria Isa, did not agree to be captured by our cameras, but said they've been left frustrated after several reports to the Urban Roads Department have failed to yield results. He explains the malfunctioning lights is due to the faulty battery cells. Ifua Breko Abafo, Joy News.
Polling station elections of the New Patriotic Party have been fraught with misunderstanding and disturbances in some constituencies in the Ashanti region. Some aggrieved members have accused constituency leaders of skewing the election processes in favor of their preferred candidates. This, they say, will cause disaffection towards the party in the next general elections. Nana Yaojima has been speaking with some of the aggrieved party supporters of the New Patriotic Party's strongholds and found this report.
The New Patriotic Party scheduled the election of polling station executives and electoral area coordinators for February 19 to March 5th, 2022, under the supervision of committees whose membership are specified. At Ejoso, aggrieved members of the party, clad in red, protested the election held on February 26th. They accused the party's leadership of failing to properly constitute the election committee and to communicate a date for the election. Acting First Vice Chairman speaks for 12 of the constituency executives and other aggrieved party supporters.
It was not only shocking but unbelievable when at exactly 7:22 a.m. the acting chairman was heard on Kesbin FM saying elections had been conducted in the constituency. According to him, the exercise began at 7 a.m. and ended by 7:22. That is unbelievable. At the time he was talking to the radio station, it was over in all the 205 polling stations across the constituency. So it took them 22 minutes to conduct elections at all 205 polling stations within the constituency.
In the 2020 presidential election, the New Patriotic Party garnered 68,724 votes against the NDC's 14,488 votes in the Joso. Mr. Chumesin team is worried the numbers will reduce for the NPP in the next election if emerging issues are not resolved.
We appeal to the leadership of this party to nullify whatever was done or in the name of elections within this constituency, so that things can be done afresh, hearts can calm down, and then we can move on as a constituency. We want to save this party.
Known as Florida, the Bantama constituency is one of the sure bets for the NPP in every election, making 86.18% of votes in the area. Prince York aspires to be a polling station organizer at Bushen electoral area. Prior to the polling station election, he claims to have been attacked by some thugs in relation to the election.
The thugs knocked angrily on the door of the office when the officers were preparing for the elections the next morning. We inquired why they are making so much noise. They then attacked us, hitting me with a plastic chair.
It is alleged the same suspected thugs also disrupted the elections. Nana Boache is an aspiring constituency youth organizer.
So how the papers that were supposed to be used, the forms that are supposed to be used in the elections are no more. And therefore we need to make another form. Some form for other people so that we can start the whole process again. Where are the forms? Forms where that's what I'm saying. These forms were stolen. So the guys stole the forms, sent the forms away, and we are ready, we are preparing other ones to do.
Meanwhile, another group has emerged claiming the NPP leadership in the constituency is manipulating the election in favor of their preferred candidates. Spokesperson Ebo Boyson has refuted claims this group disrupted the election with thugs. He is calling for nullification of results declared so far in the Bantama constituency.
Because what is happening in Bantama here, if care is not taken, I repeat, if care is not taken, Bantama will be a Bantam area.
Thank you.
So we are drawing the attention of our leaders that they should come to the aid of Bantama because they want to cheat Bantama. And if Bantama falls, the MPP will fall. Yeah. I repeat, because MPP in Bantama is the heart of the party. And if the heart ceases to function, that means the party will soon die.
In the Ofoekrom constituency, a group is also kicking against a decision to retain all old executives. In a press statement, the concerned youth of Ofoekrom kicked against electoral area coordinators appointing polling station executives for newly created polling stations instead of an open contest. Similar incidents of imposition and discrepancies have been recorded in the Adanse Asuka constituency as some persons are denied forms to contest the polls. In all the agitations, party members fear it could lead to disaffection towards the party, depriving them of the agenda to break the eight. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
The Lands Minister Samuel Abujinapo says it would not be useful to make public the report by the three-member committee established to probe the Apieti mining explosion, which claimed about 13 lives. According to the minister, the different committee chaired by the Vice-Chancellor of UMAT, Professor Richard Amankwa, has been established to review the health and safety of the mining sector. The sector minister, answering an urgent question from the Bongo MP Edward Bauer on the findings of the Apieti disaster report, argued that it will be more prudent to make public the reports by the Professor Amankwa committee, which addresses the teething challenges in the mining sector.
Given the complexity of the matter, I constituted a three-member committee chaired by a highly respected former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Benjamin Ayi, to carry independent investigations to corroborate or otherwise the findings of the Minerals Commission. On Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, I received the report of the three-member committee. Mr. Speaker, the two reports established certain regulatory breaches on the part of MAGZA in the manufacture, storage, and/or transportation of explosives. Key among these are: 1, failure to ensure that the transportation of explosives was managed by a certified explosive manager, contrary to Regulation 62A of Minerals and Mining Explosives Regulations 2012, LI 2177. 2, failure to ensure that activities that involve explosives are carried out only by competent and certified persons, contrary to Regulation 6(2)(b) of LI 2177. 3. Failure to ensure that the Code of Safe Working Practice developed for the transportation of explosives are followed, contrary to Regulation 11(1) of LI 2177. 4. Failure to ensure that the transportation of explosives was done under the supervision of a person with the required certificate of competency, contrary to Regulation 15(1)(a). 5. Failure to ensure that the transportation of explosives was carried out by a person with a business license to transport explosives, contrary to Regulation 15(1)(b) of LI 2177. And 6. Failure to ensure that the explosives being transported are under the direct control of a person who has a certificate of competence, contrary to Regulation 1071 of LI 2177. Mr. Speaker, the committee recommended, among others, that Maxam be sanctioned. The committee also made some recommendations to make the transportation of explosives safer. These include the installation of fire suppression system in explosive vehicles, the use of 2 escort vehicles, 1 in front and 1 behind, the use of 2 police officers, 1 armed and the other unarmed, the use of sirens to alert road users, and a review of the entire health and safety regime of the mining industry. Mr. Speaker, on the recommendations of the committee, a Health and Safety Committee of Inquiry has been established, chaired by the Vice Chancellor of the foremost university specialized in mining and mining technology, the Park Grant University of Mines and Technology, Professor Richard Amankwa, with members drawn from the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, the Ghana Bar Association, and the mining industry, to review the entire health and safety regime of the mining industry and make recommendations to government for legislative, policy, and other reforms.
The Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Bernard-Apaah is blaming the ongoing water rationing on activities of Galamsey and sand winning. According to the minister, those involved in the sand winning activities have in some instances filled water channels with sand. Answering a question on the floor of the House from Senate West MP Chumesi Kwame Ampofo, the minister observed that a series of interventions have been put in place to address water rationing, including the replacement of weak pipelines.
The key challenge is the deficit in water production. A number of operational challenges, which include but not limited to intermittent power supply, obsolete electromechanical equipment, and poor raw water quality, which is as a result of Galamsey. And these have unfortunately led to water rationing within almost all the regional capitals, especially in the dry season. The following are some of the operational challenges being faced on some of our existing water supply systems, leading to the rationing of water. Wager headworks. There is sand winning going on in the catchment area, and this has contributed to increased turbidity with its attendant production costs. Compounding this issue is the illegal dumping of liquid and solid waste in the river due to the encroachment around the river catchment area. This has also led to a rise in production costs emanating from the increased chemical usage for water production. A task force consisting of the National Security and other agencies have been placed on high alert to forestall such activities. Daboase headworks. Illegal mining and farming activities within the river catchment has led to siltation of the intake. Currently, 35% of the volume of raw water abstracted cannot be treated and is returned to the river. This is very muddy. This has therefore led to a reduction in the production of water, leading to the current water rationing regime in place. At Odaso headworks in Obuasi, the situation is even worse, with about 50% of the volume of raw water abstracted returned to the river as wastewater. At the Setrehimang headworks in the central region, 3 of the raw water pumps have broken down due to siltation of the raw water abstraction facility. The broken down pumps have been replaced by GWSL at a very high cost. At the Dalong headworks in Tamale, illegal sand winners have filled the river channel with sand to create access for their trucks to win sand within the riverbed and along the river banks. Ghana Water Company Limited has engaged the security agencies to deal with illegal sand winners.
Still to come on Joy News Prime, a rainstorm wreaks havoc in Ho.
So currently, the children are being taught under trees, and the rains have just started. So we are pleading with everyone, if this information gets to you, any way that you can be of help, we need urgent help.
In Showbiz, we'll take you to London, where musicians Kiddy and Kwame Eugene are preparing for one of their biggest shows yet.
We just want you to leave the show on Sunday, go back home and make anybody who didn't make it jealous, because the experience you are going to, the experience you are going to be having, like Kwame said, everything is planned from the moment we step on the stage, from the moment we leave the stage.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. We'll return after this break. And welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, there's a disagreement between the mother of all Labour Trades Union Congress and 4 teacher unions on their demand for a cost of living allowance. The teacher unions, NAGRAT, NAT, CCT and TEU say the worsening economic situation in the country and the increasing cost of living makes it an imperative for government to pay workers this allowance to cushion them. But speaking on PM Express Wednesday, Director of Labour Policy and Research of the TUC, Dr. Kwabena Nyako, says demanding that allowance will weaken the union's ability to demand more in the future.
The labor scene is a complex scene. I am a researcher, and I know, for example, that in this country there are over 150 registered unions.
Wow.
It's a very complex terrain. And I've had the opportunity of drafting a proposal for cost of living allowance for this year. I have. We tested the terrain. And some people, and I wonder the information that the workers in the education sector or the unions there, we tested it among some of them, and people were like, okay, in April, as Angel Kabonu said, we will have to negotiate for 2023. Okay, between now and April, if you do that cost of living allowance, and then you come back in April and do 2023, what is the likelihood of your success for 2023? How do you balance the gains for the cost of living and all that? So discussions have been had on this, but I can tell you there hasn't been consensus.
Okay.
People think, okay, let's put our energies in getting something good for 2023.
But NAGRAT, who are part of the unions demanding the allowances, it is very necessary for government to pay the allowance because their members are reeling under tough economic times. Angel Kabunu is president of NAGRAT.
And let me tell you that in April this year, we are supposed to reconvene the Public Services Joint Negotiation Committee for us to negotiate salaries and income.
For next year?
Yeah, for next year. But the teacher unions are even calling that, looking at the dire economic situation that confronts us now, government can come out with some cost of living allowance to cushion us from the pressures as we experience.
Realistically?
Well, I cannot die before I get something next year.
How do you call this? Cost of living allowance?
Yeah, it's COLA.
Ah, yeah. Because of the current...
Yeah, because of the current... I mean, for example, if my wife goes to buy gas today, she's going to fill half cylinder. And that is a reality. If I have to take trotro from Medina to Accra, I'll have to pay 15% more.
Okay.
If I have to go to the restaurant, pay for goods and services, I'm going to pay in relation to the depreciation of the city. These are real situations confronting us as I speak to you. And somebody ought to sit with me or with us to see how we can cushion workers from these pressures.
But it is not only the allowance dividing the teacher unions and TUC. The approach to negotiating with government is a contentious matter. Whilst TUC wants unions to adopt dialogue, NAGRAT wants a radical approach. Listen to Dr. Kwabena Nyako, who says the union should dialogue more.
So, yes, I mean, for the TUC and its unions, our approach has always been dialogue. So you can declare a strike, you can go onto the street and demonstrate, but at the end of the day, you still have to talk about the issues that actually sent you into the streets. And I mean, the figures you showed gave a certain historical hint. In 2015, when we had such dire situations, we did exactly with government what we did about 2 days ago, a dialogue on the single spine pay policy and what we need to be doing. In actual fact, if you remember very well, even the Senche consensus was the idea of the TUC.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we issued a statement and asked for a national dialogue on the economy. Okay. So our strategy actually has always been to dialogue with government over such critical issues. Because when we negotiate, we are negotiating for better wages, better improving, better working conditions and living conditions for our members. But that kind of negotiation is always surrounded by contextual issues. And some of those issues are what you have actually laid bare this evening. So it is always important that you take those contextual issues. Whether you like it or not, they will be at the bargaining table. And it's important that you dialogue to really understand what's going on, to strengthen your own position on such matters. But let me also indicate to you that even before this current economic challenges, we've always had problems with the pay situation in Ghana. In actual fact, if you take workers on the single spine, arrear wages on the single spine have declined since 2012. Okay. We've also had a problem of rising wage inequities in the public sector.
Angel Carbonell disagrees, says dialogue has not yielded much and the unions must go tough.
Situation presently demands a more radical approach than the usual dialogue and discussions, because what our members expect now is to see how we can get onto the table for government to recognize the dire economic situation and how it is impacting on us and do something immediately, because you cannot postpone suffering, you cannot postpone hunger. You understand? If you used to buy 1 cylinder LPG at a certain price, and it is gone up by 35% since October. It tells you that you cannot buy that same quantum. And so maybe either you go and look for some fuel wood somewhere to augment your energy needs, domestic energy needs. So we felt that the situation that we find ourselves, and please, the politician did not just wake up overnight and realize that we are in this situation, nor did the worker rise up one night and realize that we are having some level of challenges. So we felt that the approach ought to be a little bit radical. And when I use the term radical here, I am not talking about violence. I am talking about a more radical approach in finding immediate solutions so as to hold at bay the extent of pressure on the worker. Then we can go on and look at the general economy. Because you see, the politician made promises to you and I. And
But how much public servants earning really? Director of Labour Policy and Research of the TUC, Dr. Kwabena Nyako, says the average earner on the single spine pay structure earns not more than 1,800 Ghana cedis.
Clearly says that the economy is in hard times. Of course, yesterday I also showed figures that compares, for example, the average wage on a single spine in 2022 with a cost of living index, and money to show that workers are also in serious deficit. Dealing with two deficits here, and we must bear that one in mind. So if you are a worker on a single spine, the average pay there is 1,800.
The average pay is 1,800. Okay.
You have to pay for your children's education. You have to rent a house. You have to do all those things. And there are figures from the SASCA service, that expenditure data, that allows us to do, and we were able to estimate. So we are dealing with two deficits. So clearly the economy is in difficulty. I wouldn't say that because of that government cannot do anything at all. Government has to do something, because in fact, if you look at the worker side, there's a larger deficit than even what you see at the macro level. So government ought to be able to do something. But we also ought to be able to and doing that something does not mean that government is able to erase completely our deficit, the micro level deficit.
Angel Kabunu, headmasters of some top senior high schools do not earn more than 3,500 cedis a month.
It is even lower when you do the average within the pre-tertiary teacher level.
But so that will be what?
Yeah, so for example, a fresh graduate from the university into the Ghana Education Service is taking less than 1,600 a month.
So that's less than that?
Yes, and then the headmaster of Presec and Achimota do not have their salaries more than 3,500.
Oh, please.
No, I'm telling you. You can check.
Presec?
The Presec.
A headmaster?
Yeah, the headmaster.
So this is take home, right?
That is take home, yes.
Less than 3,000?
Yes.
Less than 3,000?
Yes.
You're kidding me?
No, I'm telling you the fact. You can check.
In today's Ghana?
Yes, in today's Ghana.
How are they surviving?
Well.
So this is the headmaster?
Yeah, that's the headmaster.
So what about the teachers?
Well.
Because they are supposed to be the best paid, like, you know, and then they...
So I'm talking about Achimota, I'm talking about Presec, I'm talking about Infant Supreme, I'm talking about Wesley Girls.
Less than 3,000?
Yes. Take home.
Wow. And we'll be talking about depreciation?
Yes.
30-something% increase in LPG. Yes. Definitely he's buying gas.
Yes.
Fuel prices have gone up.
So when you interrogate the specifics of incomes at different sectors and at different services, that is when the disparity will begin to start hitting you realistically.
The management of the Akachi College of Education says it remains resolute in the transformation of the institution into a center of excellence in teacher education in Africa. The principal, John Sedo, therefore solicited for stakeholders' collaboration to achieve this feat. He was addressing a matriculation ceremony for the 2022-2023 academic year on the campus in Akachi.
The purpose of the matriculation ceremony, which is the first ceremony, is to receive the freshmen and women who were admitted in the 2021-2022 academic year into Akachi College of Education, making them full members of the college and as persons in statu populari, in other words, as persons under the guardianship of their tutors and administrators.
Out of 2,152 applicants, only 369 were admitted to the Akachi College of Education. 62% of this number are males, while the rest 38 are females, hereby making the school miss its gender parity policy by recording a decline of 25% in female admissions compared to last year's figures. The matriculants would read a 4-year Bachelor of Education program with upper primary and junior high school options. They form the third batch of students admitted under the affiliation with the University of Education, Winneba. The principal, John Sedo, entreated the students to take their academic work seriously and desist from spending too much time on social media.
We are excited to be affiliated to the university mainly because our vision of being a center of excellence and our programs aligned perfectly with that of the university. The college is ready to support you to succeed despite a number of challenges that we are faced with. As you would have noticed, quite recently we have committed some effort to ensure that internet access is active in all corners of the college to enable you access electronic materials to support your learning. I encourage you to use it purposefully for studies rather than chatting. I wish to conclude my speech by reminding you that your main goal of coming to the college is to study hard and graduate as successful professional teachers. The college requires the support of both the students and the staff to be successful in its strides to become the center of excellence in teacher education in Ghana and beyond.
The director of the Institute of Teacher Education and Continuing Professional Development of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Dande George Dampson, implored the students to be guided by the mission and vision of the college.
As you have been formally and officially admitted into Akati College of Education, you are also reminded that you are regarded as students of University of Education, and you are also accorded all the privileges given to students at the University of Education. My dear students, I therefore admonish you, all of you here today, to be proactive, committed, and time conscious in everything that you do. I also want to remind you that you are individuals. You came here as individuals and you will leave here as individuals. Always be guided by the mission and vision of this great college, and success will surely be yours. As I conclude my message, remember and imbibe in yourself the ethics of this college. Be trained as professionals. Have excellence. Be morally inclined. Be fortitude. And above all, have teamwork.
The matriculates will graduate with certificates awarded by the University of Education, Winneba, after successfully completing the 4-year program. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Akachi.
This is Joy News Prime. Next is Showbiz.
It's time for Prime Business with me, Charles Ide. Coming up in this edition, fuel prices up, gas prices up, and consumers are feeling the pinch.
Where the gas prices are increased, we are too scarce. I mean, I do delivery. You see the cylinders, I do delivering service. First, the 14.5 was 85 CD previous. Like right now, the 14.5 is 141 CD.
Escalating prices of crude oil and impact on consumers triggers calls on governments to increase local refinery base by revamping the Tema oil refinery. We'll hear from an energy specialist.
Forex dynamics is impacting on the price buildup. Let's just assume that Thor can run and Thor can absorb, let's say, just 30% of whatever we import. So that instead of importing over 90 to 100%, we can only import, like, let's say, even 60%.
And the Chamber of Agribusiness is asking for a waiver of tariffs in the fertilizer value chain as the Russia-Ukraine conflict could contribute to supply challenges. We have these stories and more up shortly, but first, let's have a look at how commodities performed. Well, we'll start with our first story. Leading oil marketing company GOIL is the latest to increase prices at the pumps. A litre of diesel and petrol has gone up by more than 4%, selling at 8 cedis 22 pesos. George Rafi has the rest of the story.
The margin of increase is expected to influence other minor players in the industry in terms of how they should go about increasing prices at the pumps. But compared to other big players, GOL might have had a lower margin of increase compared to the likes of Shell and Total. However, another major interesting development now is that GOL has been more consistent on the market in terms of how they go about increasing prices in line with developments in the industry. One is not sure what is influencing this move by the market leader, but it's coming at a time where most players are complaining that they are struggling to be in business because of rising prices of crude on the international market and operational challenges. Some of them are already pushing for some intervention from government. Showbusiness is learning that most of the players are still working with the lower band of prices that is not selling a litre more than 8 Ghana cedis 30 pesos. However, if they had wanted to recover full cost, then a litre should have gone for more than 9 Ghana cedis.
Other OMCs have also affected price changes. Shell is selling a litre of diesel and petrol at 8 cedis 29 pesos each. It's coming after Total Oil increased its prices by a similar margin. Meanwhile, the oil marketing companies are warning of a shortage of fuel in some parts of the country owing to the rising prices of crude oil globally. They say that the development is making it difficult to stay in business, purchase and supply products. The OMCs maintain that they are not breaking even with the current prices at the pumps and are therefore calling for some intervention from government. Well, the escalating prices of crude on the international market amid crisis in Ukraine makes it critical for Ghana to increase its local refinery base. Energy specialist Dr. Yusuf Sulemana tells me that the reason government must invest in revamping the operations of the Tema oil refinery is to cushion consumers in the latter end. The price of oil, of course, has hit record highs, currently selling around $114 a barrel, and consumers will bear the brunt if government does not intervene, he says. Take a listen to him as he spoke to me earlier on the marketplace.
It's very crucial. This is one of the internal mechanisms. See the quantum of hard-earned currency, dollars that we use. We use dollars to import this finished product. We convert them to CD. We sell them in CD. We convert them to dollar, and then we import back. That kind of forex dynamics is impacting on the price buildup. Let's just assume that TOR can run and TOR can absorb, let's say, just 30% of whatever we import. So that instead of importing over 90 to 100%, we can only import, like, let's say, even 60% from outside. That is a source of energy security for us. So it is in the best interest of the nation to ensure that they have a local refinery base. A local refinery base that is buoyant. A local refinery base that can be operated like a business entity, that can churn up, that can be profitable. TOR can be a starting point. Government talked about retooling TOR. TOR is a point that can easily pick up. TOR is not collapsed. I can say that on record. The government need to just put in some kind of investment into the sector and to bring it back. Because as we speak now, TOR is now an energy security issue for the government. And if TOR is able to run profitably, the word is profitable. If TOR is able to run profitable, it will help two ways. These volatilities that we are having, that is impacting us so much, we are not going to have that. If TOR is running, the kind of shock on our currency, the kind of shock that we have on this exchange rate volatility, it will reduce.
We're still seeing on matters regarding fuel. This time around, consumers of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, say they are frustrated about the high cost of the commodity. There's been a 5% adjustment in prices, and the commodity now sells at 9 cedis 76 pesos per kilogram, which translates to about 140 Ghana cedis for your 14.5 kilogram cylinder. Live business checks reveal long queues had begun building up at some LPG outlets in the metropolis today. Take a listen.
And the way the gas prices are increased, we are too scarce. Like me, I do delivery. You see the cylinders? I do delivering service. First, the 14.5 was 85 CD previous. Like right now, the 14.5 is 141 CD. The 3 kg, that's 17 CD, now is 35 Ghana CD. So the economy is too hard. And first, I used to deliver cylinders more than 30, 40 a day. But now, the maximum will be like 20, and the minimum will be like 5 of 10 rounds. And you are done for the day. Because the people don't have money to buy the gas. So because of that, it affects my work.
Apparently, myself and then my wife, we are government workers. Yeah. And then based on the analysis and the stuff that on our plans for the month, we only realized that there have been an increment. So automatically, there will be a depreciation as in what we are expected to. Yeah, so that is how we are. But we are coping. Yeah, we are coping.
We don't have any choice. We will continue to buy the gas.
Yeah, they've increased as I saw. Well, my boss said it was 17. As I came, they say 21 cities, and I was doubting because I thought because if I go there, they go, my thing say yeah, and I say this 1 kg costing 21 cities, pay the kg, so me I can't afford, so I just bought whatever I want to buy, you see.
I'm switching to charcoal. Even the charcoal is expensive.
Of course, those were some disgruntled consumers of LPG there. But we'll still stay on matters regarding fuel because the Russia-Ukraine conflict, as we know it, is not only having an impact on oil prices, but also the agri sector, as well as the cost of fertilizer, which of course we are learning could go up astronomically or be in short supply. That is because Russia is the leading exporter of fertilizer around the world. And that's why the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana is calling on governments to waive tariffs in the fertilizer value chain. According to its Director of Policy and Research, Kojo Ahiakba, it is time for government to develop more proactive programs and policies to cushion industry players, especially farmers.
If the energy costs keep on rising, the supply is also going to be hiking further. Expensive fertilizer cost means that it will limit the application of fertilizer, especially in the Planting for Food and Jobs program, and even for smallholder farmers who make up a chunk of our farmers across the country. What it means is that in the coming months, we should be expecting some level of food shortages and some food security situations across the country. And when that keeps on happening, there will be a need for government to step into more proactive programs and policies that will be able to cushion the fertilizer supply chain, like waiving of certain tariffs on certain types of fertilizers, and even major ingredient for major assemblies. There are companies in Ghana that kind of formulate the fertilizers, source the raw materials from countries like China, countries like Morocco, for instance. The OCP company, for instance, have one of the largest reserve of potash, and if that happens, we have to rely heavily on that. One of the things we can also do is also looking at, just like the director of the program mentioned, is also look at more promoting the organic formulation of biofertilizers.
All right.
We'll be able to cushion the shortfall and the effect of the supply chain disruptions.
Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange is making a call for local investors to consider patronizing the equity market to boost confidence as it is done in the bond market. According to the Managing Director, Eko Afeji, the debt market has more domestic investors benefiting than the equity market. He therefore advises that local investors must consider and support the equity market to build the Ghanaian economy.
When you look at the bond market, you see a shift in terms of the investor profile from foreigners dominating to local. That shift happened, I think, a year or 2 years ago. Now we have more domestic investors than foreign invested, which is good. It creates confidence in the market. That even the foreign investor knows that when it comes to our market and he wants to sell and just get out of the market or liquidate investments, there are local investors who can pick them up, which is very key.
And so you have about 70 to 30% or so in terms of domestic versus foreign, which is fine. On the equity market, it's about the same, about 50-50. And it's important that we rather get more domestic investors to be interested in the equity market. The only way we can develop our economy and businesses is through equities, apart from the other financing methods that you can have. But equity is important, it's key.
Could it also be that the foreigners are losing interest in our market?
No. The foreigners are a lot more in the equities than, I told you, than the domestic. And also when you take the bond side, I told you the other way around. All that it means is that we are getting more domestic, big institutional investors who are buying our domestic bonds that are being issued. Then when it comes to the equity, that's why I want to see more Ghanaian retail investors and institutional investors like pension funds also taking part in this market.
Now, as we said,
I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you very much for your time. First story, after playing out a goalless draw at the Accra Sports Stadium in the Ghana Premier League, Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko will be battling out for the second time in 10 days or so at the same venue. This time it's for the prestigious President's Cup put together by GALCA, that's the Ghana League Clubs Association. And unlike the game played previously, and the issues that surrounded the stadium capacity and the security matters, GALCA chairman Kujo Fiano has revealed that measures have been put in place to allow his outfit to have a 100% attendance at the venue.
We had our last meeting yesterday where the head of the Dr. Lord Komi, representing the office of the president, GALCA as the organizers, Ghana Football Association, the two clubs, the National Sports Authority and the ministry. And the green light have been given that we should have full capacity. And I've seen the release. As to whether it's going to be practicable, that will only show on the ground. But that notwithstanding, I want to say that you and I We don't want any Ghanaian to lose his or her life. If that directive will ensure the safety of Ghanaians, why not? Yes, we have to play the president's card. We want to honor the president. We want to raise funds. But if you're doing that, it will cost us even a single life. I think it will be better. As for the game, it could be postponed. It could be rescheduled. It could be, something could be done about it. But human life, we cannot control that. So we will try and make the best out of the situation. We cannot say that we are throwing our hands in despair to say that because of this release, the game is going to go on. And I'm sure that the fans will be there to cheer the two clubs. I speak to you, has already moved into camp yesterday. Kotoko sneaked into Accra. They are not showing their presence, but we know they're in Accra. So the excitement is there. Irrespective of that release from the ministry, we're going to have a good time tomorrow, 6 o'clock.
As he said, it's at 6 p.m. Would you be going away from work to the stadium to watch it? It's a Friday and all that. But ahead of the game, which has been heavily publicized, executives of Galka have presented the trophy to President Akufo-Addo at the seat of government. And this is what happened today.
First of all, you're all very welcome to the seat of the presidency of Ghana, to Jubilee House. I want to thank you very much for this visit. And thank you for the invitation to be present at tomorrow's match. I accept it gladly. I spent a lot of time when I was very young following Asante Kotoko. And whenever they came down from Kumasi to play Hearts of Oak, in those days it was at Owusu Memorial Park. That's how old I am. It was before the stadium. It was a great day in the life of all of us young people in Accra. And I'm happy that this tradition is being kept alive and revived. I think it's to the credit of Galka that you are determined to maintain this tradition of the President's Cup to coincide with the national anniversaries. It's an excellent tradition, and let's long may it continue. I want just to re-echo the point that the chairperson made, the need for us to have a strong, vibrant league. It is a strong, vibrant league that will enable us to have a strong, vibrant national side. So I think all of us have to put our heads together to see the way forward as to how we can strengthen our domestic league. We'll be crying and complaining about no longer being a powerhouse in African football and not winning the cup and everything. I think it's a question of organization. And organization begins with organizing a really strong domestic league. The people in this room, plus the government side, we have to put our heads together to chart a good path for the future for the domestic league in Ghana. But that is for tomorrow. But for today, it's about tomorrow's events at the stadium. I'm looking forward very much to going there. I will endeavor to appear in neutral attire. So I'll come in a white shirt. I'll not come in red, which is where my heart is, unfortunately. I'll come in a white shirt and play my little role in it. I'm looking forward to it very much. And I want to thank you very much for the courtesy of this visit and for the honor that you choose to do me and whoever is the sitting president at any one time. It's a great tradition that you began with my boss, John Ejekum Kufuor, and I'm happy that I've been in.
Right, so he says he's coming in a white shirt and he won't wear any, the red or the other color for Heart of Oak. And very interesting, here's a start for you. when it comes to one-off games between Asante Kotoko and Heart of Oak, where a trophy is at stake, Kotoko have won more than Hearts. They've played 49 times, 6 have not been declared. So of the remaining, Kotoko have won 23 trophies when there's a one-off game at stake. Heart of Oak have won 20, and you can be sure that Hearts would want to increase their tally to 21 by this time tomorrow. And still on the President's Cup, Kujo Fianu says, if you are going as a fan, you should expect nothing but fireworks.
Yesterday, as we were inspecting the stadium, there was this joke between Kotoko and Hearts. They are saying that it's not the buzzer is going to play. Players are going to play. So their focus is on the field, not on the bus. But those are side attractions. And then one thing, I think we said it last time, for the first time in 20 years, about 20 years, Hearts and Kotoko play under floodlights. That jinx been broken for one, so that we can enjoy our El Clasico, as I said, as the accounts will say, and enjoy it there. So before, during, and after a game like this on a Friday evening. So even breaking that ice, bringing Kotoko and Hearts back to the field at 6 o'clock in the evening, that is also a sad attraction on its own. And I think that we should all grab it.
Okay, and once again, you do confirm that everything has been done legally to ensure that
everything has been done
play under floodlights because of the white paper from the Okujetu.
The president is a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I think we've not done anything untoward against the law. So 6 o'clock we'll be there. I'm sure you'll be there.
Sure.
My colleagues in the studio, you all find time. Try and maneuver to get free time from 6 o'clock so that you are not locked in the studios.
I need to ask my cameraman, would you guys get time to go to the stadium tomorrow? Would you get time? They said they would go. Anyway, so that's the President's Cup, and it will be a great occasion to usher in the Independence Day weekend. Just have some fun at the Accra Sports Stadium, and after that, maybe you can hit the town. Still on football in Ghana, you might recall that last season, Inter Allies and Liberty Professionals were in the Ghana Premier League. They suffered relegation, and like any other team that goes down, their aim is to make a quick return as soon as possible. But in the Division 1, that has not been the case for both teams. My colleague Lawrence Kweku has been going through their numbers in Zone 3 and has come through with this report. He might have some numbers that may surprise you.
After suffering relegation to Zone 3 of Ghana's Division 1 League last season, Liberty Professionals and Inter Allies were expected to be the front-runners for an immediate return to the Ghana Premier League. However, life in the second tier has not been a piece of cake for them as was expected, especially for Inter Allies. The Tema-based club, at the end of the first round of games in the Division 1 League, find themselves in the second half of the table. Inter Allies won just 4 of their first 15 games, losing 5 and drawing 6, leaving them in the 11th position. Liberty, on the other hand, have put behind them a poor start to the campaign and currently lie in third, winning 8 of their 15 games. The Scientific Soccer lads are just a point behind the leaders, and with 15 games still to play, could they take the opportunity to give their GPL return a shot in the leg? Former Ghana Premier League side Tema Youth are also looking to return after narrowly missing out last season, but they have to work harder to go top of the table, which is currently occupied by Kotoku Royals with 30 points.
So in numerical terms, what do the two teams look like in the Division 1 Zone 3? This is the story. Inter Allies are 11th. They've 18 points. They've played 15 games. They've won 4. They've drawn 6 and lost 5. Not good, is it? And they've also scored 10 and conceded 12. So that's for Inter Allies. Now, for Liberty, they are third, much better than Allies. 29 points from 15 games, won 8, drawn 5, lost 2, scored 23 and conceded 12. Let's switch gears away from football to hockey. Now, Ghana's female national hockey team will be in Birmingham to do what? It's the Commonwealth Games. And this year's edition was secured by the team after finishing second in this year's Africa Cup of Nations in hockey. And it was hosted in Ghana, if you recall. We brought you the news. However, the team have yet to receive their salaries after 4 months. And joining me in the studio to look at this anomaly is the head coach of the female hockey team, the national team, Ramatu Abbas. Thank you very much for your time.
You are most welcome.
Great. And this is not pleasant news. We thought we were going to the Commonwealth Games and everything should be sorted by now. And we are hearing this very unpleasant news.
Well, what you heard is true. For the past days, we've been battling with management with regards to our payment. And no player will want to go through this stress.
Right. Now, before we even delve into that, how are preparations going as a result of this or otherwise?
With me and other colleagues, the technical handlers, we've been able to come together to talk with some of the members of the national hockey team to condition themselves. They should think that there's no money, so we are playing without money. If money comes, fine, they'll be given. But so long as we are wearing Ghana national jerseys, we should go all out and play. So we have conditioned their minds towards the...
This can be the best of preparations, and I'm sure it's going to affect them mentally.
Yes, that's why we are conscientizing them towards, first of all, we tell them that there's no money. That was what we were told to, we were asked to be believed.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we have to tell them that there is no money, so that when there is any form of money, then we give it out.
Right. Now, what are the remedies? What are the authorities saying? As you've asked them, what are they saying?
For the past days, we met with the vice president, and she has some views, and we also...
Vice president of
the Ghana Hockey Association,
yeah.
Madam Elizabeth King.
Okay.
And then she made us believe that the money has been given to her, but they have to go in cash. But the amount they are given is woefully inadequate. Comparing other national teams, for example, soccer. If a soccer player says he wants 30,000, wherever means or whatever means the government will do to get the monies for them, they will do it. Why are we struggling to get a common $100 per day?
That's what the hockey team
It was a
will get.
proposal given to the management. We didn't hear anything, so we took it that they have agreed that they will give us such amount.
That's $100 per day.
Yes, only for us to come back, and then the vice president tells us that that was not what they budgeted for. So whatever is being budgeted is what we will receive. So currently, none of us have been paid, and we are still waiting for them to come out and give us something.
Nice. So what else do you think would the team need as you prepare towards the games in Birmingham?
The team needs a lot of things. We need equipment. We need...
You don't have equipment to train with?
We had the previous teams had it, but we are beefing the team with new players. Okay. And the new players need new equipment. And
okay, so when they give like a set of players, national team players, the equipment, they don't take it back?
Previously, they used to take it back, but now they don't.
Oh, okay.
So when the person goes out of the team, he goes with his equipment. So when we are beefing in, we have to provide new ones and new set of equipment. And the most funny thing is the goalkeepers, kickers, it's very expensive. And if you should drop one player, she goes with the equipment, then you need to buy a new one.
Interesting. So finally though, you've had the opportunity and you are here. Thank you very much for letting us know. Anything you want to tell Ghanaians, especially, when you go and they see you there, you are wearing the Ghana, no matter what happens, people are expecting go and get gold. Should we manage our expectations?
Yes, manage your expectations, because what you give us is what the results you get. So if you push hockey to the extreme, will bring you better results. So I want to tell all Ghanaians that we thank them for supporting us, and some corporate bodies that help us during this tournament.
I think you can mention them.
Well, I don't want to mention names, but they know themselves. So we thank them for helping us throughout this tournament. One of them is Mr. Abedu. He pre-financed the team during our, during our training, and then later on he was paid back. So it's not easy for somebody to take money from his pocket to sponsor a whole national team.
But you played in the Africa Cup of Nations and you came second.
Yes.
Despite these conditions.
That has not been the first time. We were in Stellenbosch. We experienced worse than this.
In South Africa?
Yes, but we went through it. It's a challenge, and we think we have to sit down with management and address this thing. And management too has to take it to the highest level and address it well, because we are national players. We all have national jerseys. Yeah. So whatever is due a national team or national player must be given to them. We don't want to call players and then they'll come and give us stories, this or that. We should provide whatever they need for their training and their upkeep so that they'll also be motivated.
Sure. Got that. Thank you very much, Ramatu.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Always a pleasure having you. So that's the story of Ghana's national female hockey team. And we are hoping that with this story from Ramatu Abbas, we'll get the requisite results for them to prepare for the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. So a lot has happened today involving this Russia-Ukraine thing and how it has spilled into sports. So much that we've just put it into this summary for you. Let's begin with the news that, first of all, athletes from Russia and Belarus will not be allowed to compete at the 2022 Winter Paralympics in Beijing after the International Paralympic Committee reversed its original decision. So they won't be there at all. Secondly, after cancelling the Sochi Grand Prix, Formula One has now cancelled the race scheduled for St. Petersburg in 2023. And also, the Russian Football Union said it will go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to appeal against its ban from international competitions after the country's invasion of Ukraine. And then Belarusian clubs and national teams are to play their home matches in UEFA competitions and neutral venues, and no spectators will be allowed to attend. And finally, the Premier League is reviewing its test or fit and proper test in the wake of the invasion, and that's according to the Chief Executive, Richard Masters. Also, news just in before we came into the studio is that Chelsea Football Club will be sold as quickly as by next week, Monday. That's because the Swiss billionaire who is chasing the deal has finally got two other partners to be able to ensure that they can buy the club. He's currently in the United States. They began talking with Roman Abramovich, and a deal could be done as early as next week, Monday. All right, so that's about it for the sports here. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Gary L. Smith. You can get more stories on myjoyonline.com. We are also on Facebook, that's Joy Sports, on Twitter at Joy Sports GH, and on Instagram at Joy Sports GH as well.